that can be held at the darkest times. A pleasant morning and hearty welcome to each one of you present over here. A beautiful smile is the best universal welcome. It can make the day a good day easy. With a small cheer and great heart, I, Ms. Shobha, on behalf of St.Theresa family, welcome each one of you for this orientation ceremony. I am truly delighted and overwhelmed to welcome and introduce the guest speaker for today's orientation program. She is none other than Dr. Anupa Kawshik, an icon of simplicity and a sculpture of humanity. Dr. Anupa Kawshik is a highly accomplished individual in the field of education. Ma'am is a very highly qualified person who has a vast 27 years of experience in the field of education, 12 years of teaching experience and 15 years as a principal. She is also recognized as a person who has started the first nursery school, Tiny Tots, in Goa in the year 1991. Madam has worked as SEO in Helpage India at Bombay and PRO in Ayurveda Mandir School, Bombay. She is the founder principal of KLE School, Goa. Apart from teaching, she is also an active president of Pragati Women's Association and Women Seva Samiti, Goa. She is an active member of IMA Ladies Club, Goa and Sevika of Rashtra Sevika Samiti, Goa. Ma'am is identified as a resource person by COE Chennai. She conducts workshops and orientation programs for teachers, students and parents. She is honored as the president of Non-Karnataka Sahodaya from 2011 to 2017 and a treasurer of Venezuela Non-Karnataka Sahodaya from 2017 till now. By recognizing the unwavering commitment and outstanding performance, many glorious feathers added to her personality. She is awarded as the Women Achiever by Kannada Sanskrit Association, Mumbai in the year 2010. Best Teacher Award by Lions Club, Goa in the year 2011. Regular Blood Donor by Rotary Club in the year 2015. And Vidyartha Puraskar by JCI Goa in the year 2017. We are truly blessed to have you at this time. On behalf of St.Theresa family, once again I extend a warm welcome to you, ma'am. Now I request our beloved principal, Sister Rajni, to welcome ma'am with a shawl and Sister Sophie with a rally. And I request Sister Philomena to welcome ma'am with a bouquet. Thank you, ma'am, for accepting our invitation and being here with us today. Thank you, ma'am. Once again, hearty welcome. Over to you, ma'am.
A very good morning to all of you. Thank you, sisters, for welcoming me in such a big way. She told me so much about me. Nothing. I'm a very simple person, teacher, and I basically love people. Can I come there and speak? No, I don't think it's. I speak. Actually, I don't think I need the mic because my wife's voice is loud enough. So, very good morning to all of you teachers. It's nice to see you back here. I'm sure you had a fairly relaxing holiday and you're all set for the new academic year. Just like how children must be looking forward to coming back to school, we teachers also are so addicted to seeing children better here. If we are at home, the work never gets completed. Whereas if we come to school, before 8, we have done with everything, and vacation makes us very lazy. So that's how we are as teachers. And as they say, a teacher is a 24/7 teacher. We may come at 8:30, go back at maybe 4:30. But even beyond and before that, the teacher in us is always there. We're always thinking what to do, how to manage the class. Why is that particular child not listening to me? Why did that discipline problem happen? Why did I have an argument with my colleague? What can we sort it out? We're always thinking of school, of what we can do in the school. And as teachers, it's not just coming here and giving your lesson, making children write notes, correct them, prepare them for exams. Our notes don't stop here. Yeah, mothers, let me call the second mothers one. I'm sure many of the parents talk to you in Kannada. Literally they're giving their child to you to look after. So we are mothers. Gents who are teachers also are a parent. Sir is a parent, I'm sure, of every child that he teaches or he comes across. It doesn't stop with that. We are counselors. Child has a problem, we need to talk to the child. Parent will come and say, Nima matadli. This I have heard over and over and over and over again over the years. Sister, do you understand that? So we seem to have some kind of magic. And it works actually. I have a little granddaughter who's 7. And I know when the teacher says something to her, she says, my teacher said this, ma'am said this. The same thing I would have told her 10 times. But she won't listen. So therefore we are great in the eyes of our children. We are counselors. Then we are also small-time health specialists. Doctors, we tell them, don't bring this, don't bring fast food, don't bring junk food, bring healthy food. See, I am eating, you also eat like I eat. We give them various kind of advices like this. We tell them physical exercise is a must. Play. There are some children who don't like to play. Surprisingly, many children in this generation would rather sit with a mobile than go out on the ground to play. We are lucky in these areas, in Hidkal or Anupa. We still have a slight rural touch here. So our children like to play on the ground. You'll be shocked at the attitude of children in cities. They don't want to go on the ground at all, even if the school has a big ground. Things like, it's very sunny, I will sweat, I'll become dark, the girls, my complexion. And then there are these funny ideas that adults put in their minds, don't run too fast, there will be too much pressure on your heart, you'll get some problems. So, a lot of things which influence children, and therefore they'd rather sit in a corner and chat during the PE period, or they go and do something else. But here, we in smaller places, with the children, we allow them to play, we tell them the importance of physical exercise. We also tell them, there's no problem if you fall. Many parents are so frightened that the child will fall and get hurt. But when is the child going to learn how to manage himself or herself? We're always saying, the parents are always saying, so now we as teachers have to sometimes need to tell them the opposite. Run, it's okay if you fall. You grow up getting a little hurt. When you get hurt, I want to see some friend coming and helping you to come out of this, some friend taking you to the first aid place. So there we are also teaching them so many values. So therefore, we teach values, we are counselors, we are part-time doctors, we are also teachers. We are there to answer all their questions. Children are very curious. Questions why, what, when, why not? Why like this? If you tell them one method of doing mathematics, they'll say, why not do it in this way? So when they ask questions, we are there to give them all the answers that they require. So as teachers, our roles are what I would call multifaceted. Many facets in our personality, which we also develop and we show or demonstrate in front of the children. So we have a very important part to play in a child's life. We may not realize at this stage. See, many of you are very young into this profession since probably very few years. I can tell you, being in this profession for more than 30-35 years, when you see your children grow up, they finish their college, they come into society, they take up professions, and when they come back and tell you, ma'am, you had said that day, that really changed my life. Ma'am, you had said that, I learned this from you. Then you get the satisfaction, then you feel, you may have to wait for a few years. Right now you feel, arey, what is this? We go on teaching our children, God knows what they'll have. They will come back and they will appreciate you for what you have done, which, believe me, doesn't come in any other profession. Maybe doctors to a certain extent. Doctors have this satisfaction. Patient will come back and say, hey, Sahibre, you treat madidri, na aramadni, you devaridanga. Except that and teaching profession, there are very few professions where you get that kind of feedback. As teachers, probably we are not so highly paid as software engineers. We have this new thing of comparing our salaries with software engineers. Software engineer will start with 40,000, 50,000. Within a year, he or she will be getting more than 1 lakh. But believe me, that's not what life is all about. Money is not all that life is all about. Yes, it is necessary. I'm not saying we should do charity all the time, work without a salary. Hangala. But there is a lot of thing of mental satisfaction and happiness which we may not get in other professions. Very often I have seen teachers after their graduation, parents tell them, do one B.Ed, teacher agbudu, some teacher agbudu. So some teacher agbudu sariyala. You have to basically love children. Once you love children, I think half the job of a teacher is done. The subject knowledge that you take, the teaching methods that you learn, all that can come later. But your basic quality should be that you love every child. Once you do that, believe me, even if you are not so knowledgeable, even if you don't have a postgraduate degree, you will still be an excellent teacher because you will be able to create that space in the heart of the child that is required. So all of us need a few things, a few qualities that we should develop in us. All of you know it, but I'd just like to reiterate what we should have. There should be 3 P's that we follow. The first, I would say, is positive thinking. Be positive whatever happens, whatever horrible situation is, try to be as positive as you can. Okay? Now, you must have heard people say, outlook irbeku. You should always look at things. So, how does one make this positive outlook possible? What is being positive? Can anybody tell me what is being positive? I'd like to make it more interactive. What do you mean by being positive? Do you have any idea? You must have heard, no? In different lectures, in different workshops, people say, always be positive. So what is this positivity?
Looking at bright side.
Looking at the bright side, very good. Looking at the bright side of things, okay. Anything else?
Finding positivity in every situation.
Yeah, what is positivity? Finding something
good things.
Very good. Finding something good in every situation. Every situation will have a positive learning in that. Every situation. Though at that time, it may not look like that at all. There will be something, some learning for us. So looking at the bright side, finding something good in every situation, how do we get ourselves to do that? How can we make ourselves do that?
If we have a positive attitude.
How do I develop? So I want to know how I'm going to develop a positive attitude. I don't know. How will you help me out?
We have to involve in that.
We have to be totally involved in that, okay? Otherwise we cannot connect. True. Then, how else? Enjoy what you are doing. Exactly. Enjoy what you are doing. Whatever you do, if you are cooking, be immersed in your cooking. Put your mind and your heart into your cooking and see how tasty that same dish will be. The day you are angry, the day you have had a fight with your spouse, your husband or your child, your cooking goes for a toss. Further, my personal experience also, all of us. Because we have not put our mind and our heart into what we are doing. If we do that, things will become beautiful. So enjoy what you are doing. That gives a positive effect. And try to delete from your mind what is negative. Try to delete from your mind. We say our minds are like computers. Okay, in that case, we can delete. We have a delete option in our computer. Yes. We have a save option. So go on saving what is good, what is positive, what is happy, and go on deleting what is not. Simple. Now how do we do that? It's very easy to say. I can say, hey, you delete all the negativity, but how do I do it? That also we have to think. Suppose, I'm just giving you an example. One of my colleagues has been very rude to me, has used very rude language to me. Maybe in the staff room, maybe somewhere outside. And that remains here. I want to delete it. I don't want to think about it. But every time I see her, I remember that. It comes back. Yes? And then it goes on every time you see her. Then sometimes we, especially we women, don't keep things to ourselves. We like to tell everybody. Hey, so what are we doing? We are in fact spreading a lot of unnecessary negativity. Correct? So far only I was thinking about it. Now I told her, see, that's how she spoke to me. She will not keep quiet. She will tell somebody else. So instead of building this negative web among us, if we try and say, it's okay, that day she said that, maybe she had a problem at home. Maybe there was something, she was not well that day, so she spoke like that. Maybe she had an issue in her class and some child was indisciplined, therefore she was a little angry, and therefore I unfortunately happened to be in front of her and she spoke like this. So if we try to look at it from a different view, then things get sorted out so beautifully and so easily. You will find yourself forgiving that lady so nicely, and that will be the end of the story. It's always good to be very frank, and it's always good to look at the positive side of it. That is how we develop a positive attitude. In any situation, as I said, from a very negative situation also, you can think positively. And when you start behaving very well with that colleague, she also will be happy. Okay, even though I said this to her, she is being so good. So good, na? She also has learned a lesson. Even if I treated somebody very badly, she has forgiven me for what I have done, and she has been friends with me again. So there is a learning for her also. So both ways it becomes a win-win situation. Both of you have come to terms with it and therefore looked at the positive side. So positivity is something that should be developed in us. Basically we all have it, it's not that we don't. But we sometimes tend to put it down and think of, yo, why did this happen only to me? Why does this happen? My mother-in-law is sick, my father-in-law is sick, my son is not studying, my daughter is not doing well. Why only me? Why only me? Why only me? If we go on doing that, then what happens is our mind and our hearts are filled with a lot of negative luggage which we don't require. And ultimately at the end of the day, who does it affect? It affects us. We develop blood pressure, we develop diabetes, we have all kinds of mental issues, some of us unfortunately go into depression. So we don't need to keep all the negative things, we don't need to keep all the sad things. We need to segregate and look at the better side. I'm not saying that bad things don't happen. None of us has a life which is full of only roses and no thorns. None of us, and we cannot expect it. Because unless you have the thorns, how will you appreciate the roses? You will not know the beauty and the softness of the rose petals unless you know what happens when you sleep on or step on a thorn. Therefore, this balance, if we look more at the better side of it, then we start developing a positive attitude. And believe me, when I am positive, I spread positivity around me. So maybe you have come from home with not a very good mood, but you see me smiling and I say, hi, good morning, how are you? That will put that spark in you also. And it goes like that. It's a ripple effect, it just goes on like this. So we can have happy environments, whether it is at home. I'm not talking about only the school, even at home. The more positive we are, the better we run our family. The better our children feel under any circumstance. So positivity we need to have. Another P that we need to develop is patience. Loads and tons of patience. Why patience? Why should we be patient? Patient andre tolerant. Talme. Yes, tolerant. Ready to take anything. Why? Why should I, as a teacher, be patient? Talme edukbek namge. Yes. Why do we hurt them? Because if we lose our patience, for example, if we get angry in the class, see there are 40 children in the class. Out of 40 there will be at least some 10 or 12 stars. One will drop a pencil, the whole class will laugh. Correct? Even in high school, I'm not talking about primary and pre-primary, even in high school, 10th. One will drop a pencil, everybody will laugh. Then somebody and the last bench will make a joke, the whole class will laugh. You have planned a lesson, you have planned to have a demo, or you have planned to show XYZ teaching aid, then you have said, I'm going to explain this, then I'm going to give these question answers. You have 40 minutes, you have planned your lesson so beautifully. And this happens. In the first 5 minutes only this happens. Then what do? Finished. Keep quiet, you're disturbing the class, and you will go on. 5 minutes gone, 10 minutes gone. Because you have lost your patience. And then what happens to your flow of work? That also gets totally, I was supposed to do this, I forgot. I should have shown this. I had taken this teaching aid and it remained on the table. I brought it back just like that. I had taken so much of trouble to make that aid, but because that stupid fellow disturbed the whole class went. Right? Yes. So we have to develop a lot of patience. So how do we manage this? Somebody has done something very naughty. How do we manage it? Patiently. Difficult? Any experience? How you have managed?
Giving some examples of other situations.
Yes. You want me to give some examples of other situations? Okay, fine. How do we manage this in this kind of discipline?
There is
Mess in the class.
So then you have another example. It happened like that, and then suddenly positive effect has come.
Okay.
Example of
You can give an example of something like this to the children. Yes. But to get the attention of the children, you have to do some magic. Because they'll always like to laugh and play and have a good time in 40 minutes. As much as possible, enjoy that is natural. They are children. Even we would like to enjoy ourselves. Sometimes when we have 6 teaching periods and one absent arrangement is there, how do we react? But when one substitution is there, how do we react? My God, 6 teaching periods I already had. You 7th na hangare maadli anta. Because we also want some relaxation. Our probably mind can be thinking of the same thing for a longer period of time. They are children. For them 20 minutes and they switch off. Complete off. After that you can say anything, do anything, they'll stare blankly at you. Usually, I'm not saying all children, but usually. So one of the things personally which I have experienced is especially when they start laughing, somebody has cracked a joke and they start laughing. So if I say, what is this, you're wasting everybody's time, 40 minutes, 5 minutes are gone, this, that and all that. Instead of that, what I say is, why don't you share the joke, let's all laugh. Only the last bench laugh, no? So then, if it is a good joke, if it is a non-vegetarian joke, you know what is a non-vegetarian joke, no? Schools don't, whichever school it is, however strict we are, disciplined we are, whatever it is, Children love to talk rubbish also. So if it is not a non-veg, they will share the joke with you and we all can laugh. After laughing for 2 minutes, everybody will settle down. If it is not a joke to be told, then the child will learn a lesson. Next time, this teacher is going to catch me like this. So next time I should be careful. So there are situations where we can handle very patiently. What happens when we lose our temper is, I believe scientifically they say every time we lose our temper, some cells in our body get totally destroyed because of the different hormones that are released at that time. Why should we harm our own bodies? We need to be very strong as teachers, okay? Physically and mentally, we need to be extremely strong. Stand like this, 40 minutes, 7 periods a day, come to the school, do what is it, do all the work at home. Physically, we have to be extremely strong. Therefore, we should see that we maintain our health properly. Learn to develop a lot of patience so that your work becomes easy and your health is maintained. One of the things I have found is when you are really angry, some child has really done something, harmed somebody else, or done something really bad, and you are really angry. It makes a difference if you close your eyes and count 10. Just shut your eyes and count 10. Your anger will have gone down at least a little bit. Or go out of the classroom for a few seconds. You will cool down and come back. If a child is angry, now especially high school children, they like to argue. I don't know how it is in your school, but they do like to argue. Why not? Teacher, you said like this, you didn't do like this, you explained wrong, the spelling you wrote is wrong, whatever. When the child is angry, you don't raise your voice. Remember? At that time, be very cool. After the class, in the lunch break or after the school, call that child and tell him very sternly that he is not supposed to speak like that in the class. Do it before you leave the school that day. Because tomorrow the child will not remember. And it's wrong to, no. That effect before you and the child leave the school, sort it out with the child, but do it one-to-one. Children today are very sensitive. They feel insulted. Namaga teachers baditidru, class horage haagtidru, book horage bagitidru. I went to convent schools like what you have heard. I always studied in convent schools. I was brought up in Kerala. Our teachers used to be very strict, whether they were nuns or whether they were not nuns. Our teachers used to be very strict. Notebook, pages we do like this, na? Okay? As we do this, the pages start folding a little. Notidri? Our teachers used to call them dog's ears. When we were very small, dog's ears. And if your notebook had dog's ears, notebook used to be just thrown like this. But we didn't feel it was wrong. Well, teacher nan book hogadru. Yendu helila. Haudu, tapnandu. I have not kept my book properly and this is my punishment. So next time, I will see that I don't do this and make those dog's ears. Today, attitude is very different. Very different. Never did my parents support me if I went and said, today teacher punished me. What the parent who used to say is, you deserved it. Teachers don't punish just like that. They don't have fun. They punished because you required the punishment. And you have to learn from it. Today, the attitude of parents is very different. We have to, see, this is something we have to learn to accept. We have to learn to accept this, that this is the attitude today. Everybody has just one child, 2 children, so they are extremely protective. And now CBSE says, don't beat children, don't even touch children. CBSE goes to the extent of saying, as a teacher, you cannot even, pet the child like this. It's okay, you're good. That also you're not supposed to do. So, there are restrictions for us. And then we have to remember that parents are so possessive about the child. We cannot use terms like our teachers used to write if the handwriting was not good, very untidy. Today you cannot write very untidy in your book. Tomorrow the parent will be there. ನೀವು ಬರ್ದು ತೋರಿಸ್ರಲ್ಲ ಇಷ್ಟು ಬರ್ಯಾಕೆ ಕೊಡ್ತೀರಿ ಮತ್ತು ಅಂಟೈಡಿ ಅಂತ ಬರೀತೀರಿ ನೀವು ಬರ್ದು ತೋರಿಸ್ರಿ ನೀವು ಬೋರ್ಡ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಹ್ಯಾಂಗೆ ಬರೀತೀರಿ ನನಗೂ ಗೊತ್ತೈತ್ರಿ ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ವಿ ಯೂಸ್ ಟು ಗೆಟ್ ರಿಮಾರ್ಕ್ಸ್ ಲೈಕ್ ಪುವರ್ ಸಪೋಸ್ ಐ ಗಾಟ್ 2 out of 10 in a test my teacher used to write poor today you cannot write poor today you have to say can do better you have to be positive with your remarks also even whatever you feel my god this fellow I should trash him but no you can't be a sugar-coated pill. Attitudes are different today because expectations are different. Earlier, punishment was treated as something which is used to correct. Today, punishment is treated as an insult. Correct? So, last year that teacher never punished. You are new. You are punishing like this. We get this every year. So, your punishments also should be in such a way that the child learns at the end of it without being insulted. Okay, so we have to find punishments like that. There are things like that, but and do it one to one in front of the whole class. Please don't scold a child. It becomes a huge issue. Ellaru munde ಬೈದ್ರಿ so ellaru munde ಬರಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋಗಬೇಡಿ ಇವೆಲ್ಲ ನಾವು ನಮ್ಮ ಒಳಗೆ ಚೇಂಜಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದು because that's the way to go. Especially senior people, some of you have been teaching for 10-12 years, it's difficult to change, but it is something we have. They say change is the only constant. We also have to keep changing. ನಾ 10 ವರ್ಷ ಹಿಂದೆ ಕಲಿಸುವಾಗ ಹಿಂಗಿರಲಿಲ್ಲ ಅದು 10 ವರ್ಷ ಹಿಂದೆ ಇದ್ದದು ಹೋಯ್ತು ಈ ವರ್ಷ from now this generation is different. So extreme amount of patience we need to have. Another thing is perseverance. Another P I would put as perseverance. What do you mean by perseverance? Trying again and again. Doing again and again is perseverance. Today, when I was teaching, my lesson did not go very well. I know, now lesson notes ಬರ್ದಿರ್ತೀವಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡಿರ್ತೀವಿ ಇದೇ lesson now last year also maybe we had taught another batch but for some reason today my lesson did not go well. That should not pull me down and say my god I think I stopped here, I can't do it. Persevere. Next time you teach the lesson, do a little better. Try and think, where did I go wrong? Did I not use a teaching aid properly? Did I not write on the board? Was I not prepared? Even if I am teaching a same lesson for 10 years, every time I go to the class, I need to read once, at least once, and prepare. Today children have become very, very, Google, ma'am is there for everything. No? They Google everything. So they have a lot more information sometimes than we have. And we should not be caught on the wrong foot. ನಮ್ಮ ಟೀಚರ್ ಏನು ಬರಂಗಿಲ್ಲ ನಾನು ಹೇಳ್ಕೊಟ್ಟೆ ಇವತ್ತು ಹಂಗೆ ಪರಿಸ್ಥಿತಿ ಆಸ್ ಫಾರ್ ಆಸ್ ಪಾಸಿಬಲ್ ಬರಬಾರ್ದು. ಸೊ ದಟ್ ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಅಪ್ಡೇಟ್ ಅವರ್ ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಷನ್ ಅವರ್ ನಾಲೆಡ್ಜ್. Google is not 100% true in many things. Also refer books. I would go by library books itself. But especially in science, you cross-check from a book, you cross-check from somewhere else before clarifying with the child. But when a child is asking you a doubt, when a child is asking you something maybe not exactly from the textbook, please encourage the child as long as it is connected to what you are teaching. They ask you something from a movie and all, it's not necessary that you answer them. But if it is something connected to the subject and you don't know the answer, I think it will make better sense that you find out and answer the child. Because children have a basic curiosity in them. They want to know. Every time we say, hey, keep quiet, that's not in the lesson, that's not going to come for exam. We are not teaching them to get marks in exams only. We are teaching them something, some knowledge that they will keep forever. And any time during their life, they will use that knowledge that we have given. Therefore, if it is something slightly outside your book but connected, please find out and see that you answer the child. The moment the child feels this teacher is not interested in answering my questions. Children are intelligent. This generation is extremely intelligent. If the child feels this teacher is not going to answer my questions, she is not interested, then that bond with the teacher becomes very weak. Respect ಉಳಿಯಂಗೇ ಇಲ್ಲ. See, by respect, I don't mean every time somebody has to come and touch your feet. Listening to you in the proper way is respect. Finished. Doing what is expected is respect. So if you want to create that bond with every child in your class, then you have to make this effort. You have to be able to answer to their satisfaction. Therefore, we have to be perseverant. I am teaching the same lesson for the last 10 years. I know everything. We don't. Till the end of our lives, we are all learning. Not only the children in the class, all of us are learning. So see that you read and you update yourself always. There are many ways today, even you can use Google. Not only the children, you also can use Google and find out so many things. I was surprised I teach Hindi. When I was teaching in the 10th standard, I was surprised that Google was able to give me a lot of information about something in Hindu religion which even I didn't know. I was surprised that there was so much of information on Google about that. Then of course I cross-verified and I spoke to the children about it. But I didn't think that we would get so much of information. So we also have a gadget, we also have a source from which we can learn, read, and we can pass on that information to the children in the class. It's always nice to make it a little more interesting class. A small anecdote, some small information which need not be exactly in your lesson, just to make it interesting. As a teacher, you can make out if the class is boring, if you find children going drowsy, immediately you know, they've had enough. Try and change, try and do something a little different. If nothing else, make them stand up and sit down 2-3 times. Stand, sit, 2-3 times, and they get fresh again. So, persevering to teach in a way that the child understands, accepts, and remembers is very, very important. So, during our preparation, for example, let's start with the preparation of the lesson. Before going to school, how do we all have lesson notes? We all have. So, today learning outcomes is the great thing now. It's the same thing we used to do in a different way. Each other learning outcomes and so what do we learn? What do we mean by learning outcomes?
What the child gets.
Yeah, what the child at the end of the lesson or at the end of the day is supposed to actually learn. What are the main things the child needs to learn? He or she need not remember details, but the main concept the child has to learn. So that is the learning outcome, and that learning outcome the child should retain for the rest of his or her life. Not say, I learned in 5th standard, I forgot now. Now I am in 7th. I learned in 5th, I forgot. That is not a proper learning, it's not a proper learning outcome at all. So when we write our lesson notes, we have to write in such a way that the final learning outcome should be something permanent for the child. Not something that he or she forgets. Yes, we have to train them to get good marks because the system is like that. Ultimately, at the end of the day, then score is at least so far. Now with NEP, there will be changes, but still, at the end of it, for a college admission, for example, for any competitive exam, it will be what is your score. Train our children for that also, but the outcome, the life learning that the child has. Today in all the lessons we have the value-based questions, right? CBSE, value-based. What is the value you learn in this? That the child should retain for the rest of his life. So when we make our lesson plans, see that there is some value we teach. There is a good learning outcome at the end of the lesson, and the child's curiosity should be answered, should be taken up. So you plan your lesson like that, and after your lesson, take a recap for yourself. Of course, in the class you take a recap. At the last 5 or 10 minutes, you ask them questions, correct? Have you understood? Now, have you understood is a very ambiguous question. We ask usually, understood? All of you understood? All say, yes, madam. Half of them would not even bother to listen to you when you were teaching. So how do we solve this? How do we know whether they have understood? It's better, instead of just asking, have you understood? It's better to ask questions here and there. In every class, there are about 5, maybe 8, ready with all answers all the time. Man, I know answer. Don't ask them. Once in a while you ask them, it's not that you shouldn't. But what happens is, we go on a high, we ask those children, say, wow, everybody is able to answer this question. So I feel my lesson is perfect. See, she has understood, he has understood, finished. There are many who will not raise their hands. Out of that, half of them will know the answer, but they will not raise their hand. Why? Why do you think they will not raise their hand? They know the answer.
Yes.
They are scared of what? Of the teacher? No, first of all, please, no child should be scared of you. That's a very old thing. Teacher, anjki irbeku. Yeah, anjki bada. Now, anjish kalsud bada. Let it come as a form of respect. That's it. They need not be scared of us. Okay, they are scared of probably going wrong.
Not confident.
Confident. They're not 100% confident. They know the answer, but they're not 100% confident. So how do we bring out these children? Encouraging them, yes. Call somebody who has not raised a hand, but you can make out from the face. See, we are excellent face readers.
Yes.
Teachers develop excellent face reading qualities within a year of starting teaching. That is, if you are observant. You are close to the world, then you are not a teacher at all. So you can make out. The child knows, but is a little hesitant. Cajole the child and say, come on. One more thing we have to encourage in the class is, when a child gives an answer, please appreciate. Please. Small thing it may be, especially for children who do not come up on their own. The moment the child comes up with the correct answer, please appreciate. If he or she gives a wrong answer, then see that you correct in the proper way. The class will have a tendency to laugh. What we say, to mock at the child. Please put these value systems in your children as well. Okay? If a child goes wrong, today it may be you, tomorrow it may be you, day after tomorrow it may be somebody else. Don't laugh at the child, because once you laugh or mock, then you finish that confidence of that child completely. Then there is a third category of children who really don't know the answer. Now, those are the most important for us as teachers. Those are the most important, because at the end of the year, what they need to attain is MIL, a minimum learning level, MLL. They need to come to a minimum learning level. Why is it that at the end of the year, we find children failing in 5 out of 6 subjects? We can say parents don't take care, child comes from agricultural background, parents are not educated. Agreed, 50%. But what about us? What have we done as teachers? We know that the child is very weak. We know that the child doesn't have an atmosphere at home where his mother or his father can take up his or her studies. Have we put one step forward and helped the child? Have I, as a teacher, taken some more interest than what happens in the class? Like, for example, if there is a child who cannot write properly, who doesn't understand, you are a English language teacher, for example. I know that this child is very weak in English and there is nobody in the house to support him. So, during my free period, or during that child's free period, or during the lunch break, or a few minutes after the school, you make the child sit with you and teach a little more, the child will improve like this. See, what we do is raise their self-confidence. These children who do not have a background at home, they have very low self-confidence. ನಮ್ಮ ಮಮ್ಮಿ ಬರಂಗಿಲ್ರಿ, ನಮ್ಮ ಮಮ್ಮಿ ಕಲ್ತಿಲ್ರಿ, ನಮ್ಮ ಪಪ್ಪ ಕೂಲಿ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರ್ರಿ, ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಟೈಮ್ ಇಲ್ರಿ. They have very low self-confidence. If we put a little bit of effort, maybe after school, 10-15 minutes, not even every day, maybe thrice a week, you call the child and say, sit with me, I'll help you out with this. Talk to the child, find out where he is going wrong or where he requires help. And you may not be a social studies teacher, you may be an English teacher, maybe he doesn't understand social studies. But it's not that you don't understand it either. So sit with the child and spend time with the child. That is more important than really teaching them the lesson. Once the child develops self-confidence, believe me, his learning will improve. We have a system in our school where we maintain what is called an anecdotal record. Very simple. It's a long printed book and there's a page for every class. Suppose the child has joined in class 1. So the child's anecdotal record is started there. In that anecdotal record, the teacher, class teacher or any subject teacher can write any observations about the child. Anything. Sicknesses that the child has gone through. Any tragedy at home. Maybe the child has lost a grandparent or parent. During COVID, many of our children lost parents. So write that there. Anything that you find a little different from the child, he doesn't speak properly or he's very shy, or some children are violent, they like to hurt others, pencil le chuchodu, scale le badiyodu, some children are like that. So the children note all, the teachers note all this down. Then the child may have participated in XYZ competitions in the school, outside the school. The teacher writes down, got first prize in debate competition held at in the school, participated in the sports day, did gymnastics or played the drums or whatever. And when the child goes to the next class, this anecdotal record is given to the class teacher of the class that he or she goes to. So right in the beginning, that class teacher opens and has a fair knowledge about what this child is like. So it becomes easier, one step easier. See, very often, especially the death of a family member affects the child a lot. Papa aur matad torsudilla, because either they are too small or they are too shy or they don't understand the impact of it, but they are affected by it. We take it as concentrate madudilla, notri barkodudilla, I have been writing on the blackboard, you are not writing, and we go on a different tangent. We don't realize what is the actual problem of the child. So when you look at this anecdotal record or when you talk to the child personally, you realize then you as a teacher will handle that child very differently. Somebody very close has passed away. How harrowing it must be for the child. So then you speak personally to the child, you console the child a little, and you see the difference in his learning or her learning or attitude. So this anecdotal record that we've been doing for a long time, it's very, very helpful. Extremely helpful. Actually, I got this idea many years ago when I attended a workshop. See, what we learn in workshops, if we put into practice, it makes a difference. So, have you heard of Gururaj Karajki sir of ACT? Karajki sir is an excellent speaker. So, I have trained with him. I have done my master training with Karajki sir. So, he had told us this story. There was this child who was in a school somewhere abroad, and he was okay. In the class 1 he was fine, 2nd standard he was okay, 3rd he was okay, 4th standard his academics went down a little, 5th standard he became really low, 6th standard he was not even passing. So in 6th standard the teacher wanted to know what exactly is going wrong with this child. So she spoke to the other teachers and said, how was this child, how was this child? Then she realized that the child had lost his mother. And he had a father who was not very family oriented. You know? He had his job and his child used to be alone in the house. And therefore, that loneliness and that insecurity made him go down in studies. So she took a special liking for the child. She started talking to him and interacting with him and encouraging him. He used to be very dirtily dressed and very hair not combed properly, clothes not worn properly. So, and all the children in the class used to hate him. So he was sort of put in the corner. Slowly this teacher started spending more time with him, encouraging him to come more clean to the school and better performance in the school. And slowly the child picked up. And it was the teacher's birthday and all the children brought nice gifts for the teacher. Everybody brought big gifts. Usually children bring. So they brought gifts and they gave. Now this little child also brought something. Something was wrapped in a newspaper very untidily. He just came, he put it on the table and he went off. So teacher was busy with class that day. She opened. Then finally at the end of it at the bottom she found this gift and she opened it and she found a bracelet, used bracelet with all its stones and all, most of it gone, one bracelet, and one small bottle of perfume, which was half used. So she kept it, and she realized that this child had something different to give me. So next day, she used that perfume and she went to the school. So after the school, every day this little fellow used to come and sit with the teacher for some time. So he came and sat and said, "Today you smell like my mother." The moment he said that and she understood, that bond became so good. This child later on went on to become one of the best students in the school, because he had brought that it is my mother's perfume and it is the bracelet that she used to wear. So the teacher started wearing that, even though it was not good, she started wearing it once in a way, and every time she noticed, every time she wore that, the child would be extremely happy in the class that day. That was a secret that only the child and the teacher shared. He went on to top his class, become a very good, very famous doctor, and after that, of course, she lost touch with the child. It happens once they go out of school, sometimes they keep touch, sometimes they don't. Many years later, she got an invitation to his wedding, and there in the mother's place he wanted her to sit. Usually in the church where the parents of the bride and the groom sit, he wanted this teacher to sit there as his mother. And that day also she wore that bracelet, she put that perfume and she went there. So this is the kind of bonding that can make a huge difference in the lives of the child. We don't realize that sometimes, but we do make a huge difference in their lives. So as teachers, our observation of these kids, why is that child under the weather, means not in a good mood, why does he not participate, why does she not speak, what is her problem? So spend a little more time. In our school, I have told the teachers that every day, whichever class you go to, you should speak personally to at least 3 children in the class, personally, not about the studies and about the questions and all that. Something personal. Children feel extremely happy. Today, teacher spoke to me. Teacher asked me what I did on Sunday. On a Monday morning, you can say, "What did you do yesterday? Where did you go? Did you go to a park?" Simple question. Yeshwata, 1 minute, 2 minutes. But to the child, it makes a huge difference, because very often, the children go home and tell, "Teacher, ನಾನು ಮಾತಾಡ್ಸೋದೇ ಇಲ್ಲ. ನಮ್ಮ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ 3-4 ಹುಡುಗರು ಅವರೇ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಮಾತಾಡ್ಸ್ತಾರೆ, ನಾನು ಮಾತಾಡ್ಸೋದೇ ಇಲ್ಲ." That situation is not very healthy, because every child needs to feel that he or she is part and parcel of the class. Even if you have 40 children, even if you have 40, make it a point to personally speak to at least 2 children, 3 children per day, and next day speak to 2 or 3 children who are different. So by the end of the week, week or 10 days, you will have spoken at least once to all the kids, whatever it is. Learn to appreciate if they do something good. Maybe out of the way, maybe not connected to your lesson at all. Sometimes they are very good with art. Craft ಮಾಡಿದ್ದು. Small kids like to show. I bought this new tiffin bag. I bought this new water bottle. ಅಷ್ಟೇ ನೀವು ಖುಷಿಲೇ ಅಪ್ರಿಷಿಯೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ done. That teacher is so nice, no? She likes. And then when they come and tell their observation, the children's observation is fantastic. If you change your earrings, they'll tell you. I used to run a nursery, right, when I was introduced this in the tiny tots. That time when I came to Mumbai, there was no nursery school there. There was no nursery school concept at all. Anganwadis irtiddu, but nursery school at irliಲ್ಲ. I'm talking about 85-86. So in 1991, when my daughter was 2.5, I had no school to send her to. Nursery school irliಲ್ಲ. So I started this nursery school at home. And slowly it grew, then we had a building and all that. So I used to spend a lot of time with the children. Initially when they came, 1 hour I used to make them play. Sandpit, there was a slide and swing and all that. So I used to sit in the sandpit and play with them. Their observation used to be so good. Not only the girls, even the boys. One day, and I'm very free with kids, I don't have this teacher, principal, you stay there, I stay here. So literally they are sitting on my back and all that. So one boy was on my back and played. He said, and I taught them to say, I never said teacher, they used to call me auntie. ಆಂಟಿ ಒಂದು ಮಾತು ಹೇಳಿ ವಾಟ್ ಇಸ್ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಪಪ್ಪ ನೀವು ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಕಿನ್ಯಾಗ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಕೊಡ್ಸಂಗಿಲ್ಲ ಏನೋ ಬರೇ ಅಲ್ಲ ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ಡಸ್ ಯುವರ್ ಫಾದರ್ ನಾಟ್ ಬೈ ಯು ಡಿಫ್ರೆಂಟ್ ಇಯರಿಂಗ್ಸ್ ಬೈ ಯು ವೇರಿಂಗ್ ದ ಸೇಮ್ ಥಿಂಗ್ ಎವ್ರಿ ಡೇ ಸಿ ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ and that came from a boy. So they observe so beautifully, they comment so well, and they're so open with their comments ಅಲ್ಲ. Very often ಅದು ನಾವು ಲಕ್ಷಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವು ತಗೊಳ್ಳೋದಿಲ್ಲ. And that boy today is a big businessman. But that bonding which has remained is still there. Whenever he meets me or I meet him, I still recall. I keep telling him, when you get married, I'm going to tell your wife this, that you are so observant. And you make him buy earrings for you because he has told me this. So that sort of, bond that we have with the children makes a lot of difference in their lives. Then there was very recently another incident which happened. One of our students who passed out of 10th, we had a lot of discipline problems with that child. Nice fellow, academically quite good, a little above average, though not star student, little above average, but very indisciplined, always getting into trouble. All teachers used to, my God, this fellow, he disturbs the class, madam, always. And he didn't fare very well in the 10th in CBSE. I thought he would get around maybe 70-75%, but he just managed a first class, 60 or 61 he got. So CBSE was over, he came to take his mark list. So I was in the cabin and I called him and I made him sit down. I said, see, I understand whatever problem, he had a lot of problems at home. So I said, whatever your home problems were, whatever happened in school, did you get the marks that you deserve? He said, no, I deserve much more. I said, what happened? No, I did not study. So I just encouraged him. I said, don't worry, what is over is done. Now you have 2 years of PUC. You are extremely intelligent and you can achieve a lot. But left to you. I just said 2 or 3 sentences and he went off. 2 years later, he came to meet me after his PUC. He said, madam, I have come specially to meet you, though my family is not here anymore. I have come to meet you. I have got admission to 5 medical colleges. Means I can choose now. 5 medical colleges I have got admission. And it was only because that day when you spoke to me, when I went out of the office room, I decided for myself that now I am going to work hard. Madam has told me that I am capable, so I should show her that I am capable. I had never realized that those few words that I spoke would make such a difference in his life. But it did. So for us as teachers, really we have a lot of power. Both ways. Positive as well as negative. If we tell a child, ಧಾಡ್ಡಿದೀಪಾನಿ ನೀವೇ ಒಟ್ಟ ಸುಧಾರಿಸೋದಿಲ್ಲ, ನಾ ಎಷ್ಟು ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ, ಎಷ್ಟು ನಿಮ್ಮ ಜೊತೆ ಟ್ರೈ ಮಾಡತ್ತೀನಿ, ಒಟ್ಟ ಸುಧಾರಿಸೋಕೆ ತಯಾರಿಲ್ಲ. Believe me, the self-esteem will go down. And when the child feels, really I am not capable, today children have become so sensitive that they go to the extent of committing suicide also. Even children as young as 9 years today are taking their own lives. I don't know how they do it, but they're doing it. We had a psychiatrist, a doctor from Bangalore who came to address our parents and children about 3-4 years ago, just before COVID. I was shocked when she told me, my patients for counseling are all between the age of 12 and 25. 12-year-olds require counseling. Can you imagine? Yadaka, why are they in depression? 12-year-olds? Can you imagine? Not only because of low academics, not only because of low self-esteem, because today they are all glued to the social media. Photo tegitara, upload, likes, so many likes. So that friend has got 21 likes, I got only 18. So I went into depression. Seriously, this generation that we are facing is very different from our generation and generations before us, of course. Mainly because of the electronic items and the social media. They don't realize that this is a virtual world. Many of them are in that virtual world, they are not here at all. Physically they may be here, but mind is somewhere else. They are not connected to us. And that psychiatrist, that doctor was saying, it takes me 1.5, 2 years sometimes to counsel these children. And even then, at the end of 2 years, I'm not sure that all of them have come out of the depression. In spite of my taking so much of effort, because these children go deeper and deeper and deeper into this social media, and saying that I'm not good looking, therefore I don't get likes. What has likes and looks to do with life? Seriously. Somewhere we have gone wrong in teaching them the real values of life. Parents are both working, they have no time because they want to finish all the material requirements, they want a big house, they want a car, they want to give their children the best education. They forget to give them value education. There also we play a very important part. There also our responsibility is quite big to make them come out of this social media addiction. How are the children in your school here? They are also addicted to social media? Especially after COVID? They are, no? WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, Madhyavado chat. There are children who are on the mobile till 2 o'clock in the night, till 2:30. Then they play these games antala. Something like that. I don't even know how to access those games. So, this generation that we are handling is very fragile. So, we need to put a lot of effort to make them come back to this earth. They're so involved in their WhatsApp and their mobiles today. The excuse is, hey, nam notes kalastarada. Parents kadinda they take the mobile, teacher notes kalastar or homework adran bartidi. 2 years of COVID, we had no alternative but to go online. It was something that all schools unfortunately had to do. Unfortunately. ಇಷ್ಟು ವರ್ಷ ಮೊಬೈಲ್ ಮುಟ್ಬೇಡ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಿದ್ವಿ, ಈಗ ಮೊಬೈಲ್ ತೊಗೊಂಡು ಕೂಡ ಅಂತ ನಾವು ಹೇಳಿದ್ವಿ. It was not in our hands. But coming back from that, getting out of that is still very difficult for our children. Very difficult. Because they've gone very deep. They play all kinds of ridiculous games, Then there are these games which give challenges to you. Oh, look, this challenge, after that you go to the next challenge. After that you go to the next challenge. What was that? Blue whale. There was one game called Blue Whale, remember? Now many countries have banned it. That blue whale used to take you to the extent of committing suicide. Because that was the challenge. Jump off from the 7th floor of your building or 21st floor of your building. Children used to do it. So that is the power of social media. So in the name of modernization, whether we are really becoming modern, whether we are really going forward or we are going back is a big question mark. Today we think of artificial intelligence, correct? Skill subject, artificial intelligence, robotics, all the schools are taking it. Fine. In the name of development, yes. But what is artificial intelligence doing? It's affecting your life. Today if you go on Facebook and you access maybe you want to look at some furniture, for example. Today you go to some furniture sites. Tomorrow your mobile, as soon as you open, will be flooded with furniture sites, correct? That is artificial intelligence. And what is that doing? It is slowly ruling your life. It is influencing you to such an extent that you are wasting so much time. Even we women, if we start opening our mobiles and looking at WhatsApp, we sometimes spend more than 2 hours without realizing. Even we. So you can imagine how difficult it is for the children to come out of this. There also, as teachers, we have to be there. We have to, because parents also say, ನೀವು ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಕೇಳ್ತಾರ್ರಿ, ನೀವು ಹೇಳ್ಬೇಕ್ರಿ, ನಾವು ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಒಟ್ಟ ಕೇಳೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಮೊಬೈಲ್ ತೆಗೆದಿಡಂದ್ರೆ they can't, the parents can't. ಗಾಡಿ ಕೊಡಬೇಡ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, do you have children on the scooter here? Yes. 12-year-old, 13-year-old? Difficult. Very difficult. So many times I have called only mothers and emotionally, turned them saying there might be accidents or nothing, no effect. The mother will again give the key to the child. Then there's this punishment by the RTO, 1,000 rupees fine and the parent can go to jail ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಒಂದಿತ್ತು. ಅದು ಸರ್ಕ್ಯೂಟ್ ದೊಡ್ಡದು ಮಾಡಿ ಹಚ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ದು ನಾನು ಸ್ಕೂಲ್ ಒಳಗೆ ಪೇರೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ನೋಡಲಿ ಅಂತ. ಅದು ಏನೂ ಎಫೆಕ್ಟ್ ಇಲ್ಲ. We encourage our children to come by bicycle, they do. But to school they'll come by bicycle and go back like very good children. ಆಯಿತು ಮನೆಗೆ ಹೋದ ತಕ್ಷಣ ಸ್ಕೂಟಿ ಬೈಕ್ big bikes, not only scooties. So as I said, this is the generation. So that also to some extent we can try to motivate our children to be more eco-friendly, more safe, more concerned about your life, more towards following rules. That's how we as teachers need to be very adjustable and go as per the requirements of that class, those children. What is expected? See what we call stakeholders. As teachers, we have to be good with the management, with the principal madam and with the management. We have to be very good with parents. Our main is the children. We have to be good with them, and of course among ourselves. So there are different categories of people whom we have to handle at different times and in different ways.
Gratitude is a sign of noble souls. Feeling gratitude and not expressing it is like wrapping a present and not giving it. Good afternoon to all. On behalf of St.Theresa School and management, I take this opportunity to propose vote of thanks to those who directly and indirectly contributed to this orientation program. Firstly, I want to express my sincere gratitude to the resource person, Dr. Anupa, who spared her precious time amidst us. We are really enlightened with your knowledge and presence, ma'am. And we will surely begin this academic year keeping your inspirational words in our minds. Thank you so much, ma'am. Next, I would like to thank our beloved principal, Sister Rajni, for her enthusiastic support and for arranging such a wonderful orientation program for the staff. Thank you so much, sister. I would also like to thank Manager Sister Sophie for her unfaltering support and guiding force for every new step forward. Thank you, sister, in her absence. Lastly, I thank all the teachers and sisters for their active participation with a great